everything seems really positive, right? I'm very happy because I have with me again a guy from Monterrey who has shared his experience with us. As I mentioned a moment ago, the broadcast cut off last time and I didn't know what happened. And well, here we have him back so he can tell us a little bit about his experience with those beings, right? And what did you feel? What has this taste of life left in you over the course of all that time until today, that experience? From Monterrey, Alex Show. Hello, Maria. Hello, Alex. A big hug from San Luis to Monterrey.
How are you? Fine, thanks. And you?
Very good here. Very happy. I hope they don't catch us and take everything away from us.
Me too, I agree.
Also over there in Monterrey too, right?
Yes. Lately, the rain has been really heavy, and also it's been about a month now that the power has been going out here occasionally. And well, if I disappear, something happened with the internet or the power. Hopefully not. Our last episode, which is on your channel, in my opinion, was cut off. I think we were at a really nice moment. We were talking and then something happened. Just recently, let me tell you, I was recording inventory that's going to come out in August and September about topics like my Urgo and things like that. And you wouldn't believe the energy. I mean, the interruptions I had, like there was this feeling that the shows just weren't meant to be finished, recordings, the ones I do by myself on my own schedule and everything. And yet the phone would ring. I'd get interrupted by work. Someone would come knock on the door. But in the end, they got done. And I even mentioned it during the recordings. I said, so yes, they have a very curious energy, very much so, but no matter how much, I don't want to sound excessive, but no matter how much they try to keep us from mentioning this, in the end, people carry it in their hearts. So they don't need us. They just need to listen to themselves.
Exactly. I think it's about listening to ourselves deep down inside, right? It's not so much about the studio or anything like that, but rather about listening to ourselves. And besides, you know what, Alex? I don't know if you agree with me, but right now the energy is super intense. I mean, it feels really strong, like the resonance has shot up like crazy. One day it goes up threefold and we know it doesn't go back down. It just stays there. And this is for real. This whole year is going to be disrupted. And I think the coming years will be too because, well, as I say, it's about moving forward, right? The planet, the earth, Pachamama, Gaia, whatever we want to call her, is going through a wonderful phase. Human beings, well, we have to keep up. Like someone once told me, those who read the stars, run even if you can't catch up. And I said, wow, what do you mean? Run even if you can't catch up. So, well, tell us a little bit to get back to that time period. How old were you when these beings contacted you? What did you feel? Was it really the same thing I told you about? I think I already told you in the video that I met you there too, about the people who connect with your mission, those I meet on the page. What did you feel? What message would you give to all the people who are going to see you regarding this? What did you feel? What is a reality? So,
how was that? Yes, it was when I was a child. And why was it when you were a child? Because I feel that as our mind starts to develop, and I don't want to sound negative, but it begins to get contaminated or programmed by this reality. And so I feel that we ourselves end up blocking these experiences. And I was told, you are going to forget us. I mean, you are going to forget us. And I said, what do you mean I'm going to forget? No, yes, when you grow up, you'll focus on other things. In other words, you're going to focus on other things. Especially them, since they were a group of avians, they were beings like, with them, I am an avian woman. And that's what I was told there. And later I also discovered it. I want to clarify this because of the topic of gender, since sometimes those of us who are men tend not to consider the possibility that we have been women, that we have been many things. So I think gender is and it's relevant in that sense, and that's why I want to think of myself as an avian woman. But my friends, my family would come and they would take me with them, and with my curiosity, I would say to them, come on, let's go here, let's go there. And for them, Maria, it's not a problem for them. I mean, once we leave this system, the whole universe is within our reach. So it's here where we are limited. It's here where there is a certain, let's call it the matrix or whatever we want to call it, where we are in a way under these constraints. So for me, the most important thing is to open up the possibility for those who maybe don't feel it within themselves, though I'm sure it's there. If you look for it, it's there, that we have been much more. We have been, and I don't say this to disparage or minimize the human experience, but we have been other things, right? And we have been so much because in the end, we are a divine spark. We are a creation that is having these experiences, right? And also when I've put all of this into a blender and tried to come to some kind of conclusion. It's that there are no victims. I mean, we're all experiencing this. This is temporary, and it brings me so much peace to know that this isn't everything, that there's so much more. And you have no idea how much it breaks my heart. Tell me, do you believe me? No, no, no. When I once had a truly wonderful opportunity, a significant chance to really make a difference. Yeah, no, I hope, please leave me alone. I know it's just that they don't like it. Maybe, let's say, I know. Besides, I've told you that there are certain energies here. I've already told you about it. And in a way, you have to sort of follow the thread. I was telling you that the peace of mind comes from knowing that we have been so much more, and that really we are not victims. We didn't come here by force. No one forced us. We are here because we want to be, and one day we won't be here, which has nothing to do with the human experience, but the human experience has to evolve. You said it, Maria, the human experience has to evolve. I see it as nature. I can tell you this intuitively. It's so far above us in so many ways. It's humans who are the ones being left behind. Even though it might seem like we're very advanced technologically, believe me, this technology that might impress you, like airplanes, phones, televisions, computers, is nothing compared to the technology that's out there in the universe. Craft that dematerialize and travel beyond the speed of light at infinite speed between universes. In fact, the avians themselves, the blue avians, they don't even have ships anymore. We weren't traveling in ships, we were in spheres. I don't even know what to call them, like energy domes, and you wonder, hey, where's the saucer and all that? They've already transcended that. They're already like that. That's it. Let's go. And they've also transcended their bodies. They were already purely energetic beings, right? So for me, the message, and it's a message I want to share on both of my channels, is try to discover your own story and be at peace knowing that this is only temporary. Recently, a subscriber from the English channel also reached out to me saying in a few words, look, what you say about peace and that nothing belongs to me and that I shouldn't worry is great, but I'm having a really hard time. Yes, this reality can be very, very tough. And you and I have talked about this in private, right? Financial issues, health issues, emotional issues, which is a third situation, because you might be fine health-wise and financially, but maybe emotionally you could be dealing with something like depression, anxiety, etc. People who need social validation, which we have to respect. I don't need it, you don't need it. But there are people who, if they aren't validated by others out there, feel like they don't exist. So there are many, many things that happen in this reality. And that subscriber got me thinking about how to explain to you all that, yes, they're right, it really is complicated. And if they're bothering you, Maria, it's really tough. I mean, if they're scratching at you, if they're pecking at you and all that, it's really hard to stay calm. But honestly, what I want to say is, sorry, you cut out for a moment. What I want to say is this, that if you uncover your real story, if this gentleman who contacted me were to discover his real story, because it's clear he's not buying into what I'm saying. I mean, if he feels that way, it's because he hasn't discovered it yet. Because if you realize that this is first just a temporary phase like rain, that one day the rain will stop. And if you get overwhelmed because it's raining and you don't realize that in 3 hours the rain will stop, well, that's very different, because it might feel like it's going to last forever. And when you're not having a good time, it feels like it's never going to end. So I really need to be more understanding of people who are having a really hard time. Honestly, I've been very fortunate in this reality. I'm saying, yes, I've been through situations, but nothing compared to most people. I don't know if this person is going through a medical, financial, emotional problem or something else. But for me, the most important thing, the best advice I can give you, more valuable than $1 billion, is to discover your real story, to discover that you are a divine spark that came here to experience. For what? That I still owe you an answer. I think it's basically to understand who we are. But I don't buy into the idea that we came here to be taught, that this is some kind of school. We're here, it's just a fleeting experience. And if you hold on to the idea that you are a divine spark, the moment you are already a pure divine spark, that is when you leave this body, your possibilities are wide open. You can return to your star families, you can go to other systems because no one can stop you. I don't buy into the idea of the matrix, that it has us trapped. No. Believe me, I have information that it's not like that. It's the lack of information.
Yes, well, and you know that right now, well, there's a lot of misinformation these days, or a lot of information that isn't really information, right? I mean, information is everywhere and there's a lot of it. Just like you said, right? It could be called a matrix or matrix to me, but I don't know if you agree with this, that it's that luminous matrix, right? Why? Because that's what we are. If we are, let's say, if we are human beings, we came here to, we are essentially a being and we came here to learn to truly be human, right? In other words, we are those profound beings. We are, if it's this, vibration, sound, frequency, soul, spirit, light, truth. If first it's body, soul, spirit, then you say, well, I am a body with a soul and spirit. So that's something we absolutely have to really, really pay close attention to and observe that those words are truly meant for us, right? It's not so much about whether there are beings or if people are having a hard time. Yes, at one point I had a really hard time too, but it's like you said, when you reconnect with yourself, you spark, right? I don't know how to put it. It's like that bomb that is, you goes off, you know? I mean, yes, there are a lot of people who are having a tough time, having a hard time and saying, no, how can this be happening? But if that's what we are, if we are body, soul, and spirit, if we are sound, light, and resonance, vibration, magnetism, waves, what can we do to keep that from happening? If that's what we are, then I think it's the lack of belief in oneself, right? I mean, really believing what you said, that divine spark, that you truly have an uncreated spirit. That's why it's uncreated. But here there's a lot of confusion because look, for example, I don't know if you know this or if you've heard it, but for instance, you might hear someone say, no way, those were mischievous spirits. And you say, what do you mean mischievous spirits? I mean, but you are a spirit. There are so many words that human beings really need to pay much more careful attention, to really be fully aware of that particular aspect, right? And it's quite a big distortion, isn't it? If someone is feeling bad, going through tough times, and they've already heard about mischievous spirits, just imagine if you tell them, no, you are a spirit, a divine spark. Yeah, so I think that people who are currently going through tremendous situations, what happens to their magnetic field? For example, I don't know if you agree with me on this, about how people say, oh, we're reflecting each other, we're mirrors, or things like that. But if the other person has already evolved, has already gone through everything they needed to and didn't have a good time, of course, when they see the other person, they say, I used to do that and I don't want to see myself like that anymore. But it's not that they're reflecting each other because they're no longer the same person. That person can help the other, can guide them, right? They're like a guide, aren't they? Like those beings who once told you, you're going to forget us because, well, yeah, the energy of the world is going to suck you in so much, right? I think what we're missing, or rather what's missing, not for me, but in general, is that faith in oneself as a human being, in really bringing out that potential we have as humans, which is, yes, sorry to say it, but I've always said it, and here it comes out. My followers know I say this. It's not about having a piece of paper stuck up somewhere telling you that you haven't succeeded or how much you have. It's about you. It's like school, right? School isn't going to tell you what potential you have. The potential comes from what you do in your own life. That's what will bring it out in you, and that's been proven over and over, right? because thousands of people have studied one thing and are doing something completely different, right? So I think that we as humans have to bring out that potential, right? To really unleash the potential that we truly are. And what you said about the spacecrafts is true. I mean, we've already seen that in the United States, they have triangular crafts. Russia has those triangular crafts too. So people need to realize and understand that this technology already exists. Sure, the planes we board are still lacking a lot of technology, but that human technology already exists. And of course, they're advancing. It's just that they're no longer in their little suitcases. They're already well past that point. So that's precisely when you say, wow, they're operating on a whole different level entirely. And because we as human beings, this uncreated spirit truly comes to be human. So what exactly are we missing to truly and completely be human? Don't you honestly think so?
Yes. I mean, in a way, when you say that to me, what resonates inside me is that the next level of humanity and what is currently known as 5D and this ascension, expansion is actually happening. And it's that humans become this new kind of human with a divine spark. First, to lose our fear of death. That is to understand that death is simply a stage. It's like going to sleep at night and being afraid. It's like dying to go to sleep. You're going to wake up the next day. It's the same with death. It's the same with death if you look at it that way. It's simply crossing a bridge, right? And you've crossed that bridge hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of times, or countless times. It depends on how old your soul is, right? For me, that's really important. But all of this is going to make this whole scheme, for example, about death fall apart. I have to say it, and I don't want to offend anyone religious, nor am I criticizing any particular religion, since they all deal with the same thing. But essentially that essence of saying, well, it was religion that gave me that is going to be lost. I mean, I go to mass because, well, essentially it's not about here. It's about when I die, the Father will be waiting for me and will forgive me and I'll ascend to heaven and so on and so forth. So when you understand that death is simply a transition, it's really like going to sleep at night and waking up somewhere else. The thing is, we wake up in the same place, same place, same place. And that's where, for some, it's going to get real. Yes. And that's why you should open yourself up to your options. And why are your guides, why are your star friends talking and talking and talking to you? And why did they come to me? They told me we can't come down. Look, they told me that we can't come down to your density. You have to come here with us. And I didn't understand. I would say, well, why don't you come down, take me, bring the ship down so I can go out for a photo or something. No, you come here. We can't. You chose to go there, and so you also choose, well, not this anymore. Why not? I come back here, I return to the Pleiades, I return to many places, and it's not that I'm special, that I'm in many places. Everyone who is listening to us, they have been, you have no idea how many, and they have been, because I've also heard all the animaloid races are demons, avians, urmas. I mean, they relate them to the reptilians. We have all been many things. I'm not saying we've only been good. I'm talking about myself. We have been many things. I have made many mistakes. That is universal existence, the expansion through mistakes, the understanding that in the end, wherever we are here on earth as humans, I have to behave as a divine spark because that is what I am. And for me, that is the new human, the human who acts with the divine spark. And then you realize, because you can only behave in a way where there are no justifications. These justifications, I'm a criminal because no one would give me a job. That's not a justification. That's not a justification. And then to understand that in some way, all these things we keep saying, why doesn't God stop wars? Why doesn't God stop children from dying of hunger? Why doesn't God stop suffering? Why doesn't God give me a boyfriend, a girlfriend? Why does God want me to suffer? It will hit you, you'll get it. It's not him who's punishing or rewarding you. It's that when we change as humans, this world will change. Until we change as humans and behave the way we truly should as a divine spark, this world will stay the same. I find great peace in understanding that I can't change the world and that it's not my responsibility. We've talked about it. It's not our responsibility to change others, only ourselves. The only responsibility is to change myself, and that's what I'm trying to do. Believe me, it's a daily effort, and I still have a long way to go. I'm really just starting out on this path. It's a huge task to change yourself.
It's like you said, that change is an internal vibration. And when the other person understands that, it will be like all the links are connected through internal vibrations. And therefore, wherever you are, things will start to change, will start to rise, so to speak, right? Raising that beautiful energy, that good vibe, whatever we want to call it, vibration, magnetic resonance. Why? Because, yes, I mean, it has to behave that way, like that divine spark. But really, if we came here to be human, then that's what there is here. I mean, you're ruled by money. We need to have people who are giving us orders. Because I think if no one was in charge of us, who knows what humanity would be like, since some people think one way, others think another, right? And well, there are places where, I don't know, even neighborhoods kind of make their own little private groups and say, well, here we're going to come to an agreement among ourselves. And if you arrive at that place, the vibe there is different just by crossing the little street, and you say, wow, it feels different. And even more so now, right? Because the magnetic energy is, wow, rising and rising. So human identity through resonance, now that internal resonance has to flow, right? That's why I don't know if it's happened to you, Alex, that if you go to a meeting or you're at a shopping mall, suddenly you might feel sleepy. You start to feel super tired. Or in other places, you start to feel more energized. It's great. I mean, how nice it feels. Like here, I felt really good. Or you meet someone and they make you feel very comfortable, or they simply energize you. Yes, that's exactly that internal resonance at work. And maybe people don't even realize that they're raising it, Alex, because there are a lot of people who don't know about this. I've met many people who say, I don't know what you're talking about. Or they have a certain belief, a certain mindset, you know. But they don't know what that real spirit or spirituality is, right? They don't know. So then you say, wow, why did I feel so good here? Or I come to your home and I feel so at peace, like I don't want to leave. You go to different homes and you think, oh, I just want to leave already. Or there are people you just can't stand to see. I mean, you immediately start to feel it. So that work, how can a person, a human being, do it? What would you recommend for
that? Yes, look, it just happened to me today. I had to go to the bank. Rarely do I have to go to the bank in person anymore, I think, like everyone else. But I needed to request a replacement for a card, and I didn't realize today was the first of the month. So it was a bad day to go to the bank. So I was there waiting for a long time. People were really angry. People started complaining. There was only one person helping. Thank you. And there were people who were going to make deposits, and they were told they could do it at the ATM, but they refused. Older people who said, no, I want to do it at the counter. You start to feel this, and I've told you about it personally in private, that it's something that has affected me my whole life. I mean, somehow, instead of being able to reject these energies or control them or create some kind of barrier, I just absorb everything, you know? So I started to feel, and you really started to feel what you mentioned, like tiredness, sleepiness, irritation, right? But I've worked a lot, not so much on a mental level because it's not mental, but more on going inward and trying to harmonize this a bit, you know, within myself, because it's obvious that these energies, when you feel like this, are flowing through you, but you have the power to harmonize them. There are people who say, Lump, everything is gratitude. I'm at the bank. I've been here for 2 hours. Everything is perfect. Maybe I don't even need to say why I came or anything. And definitely the other side, which is the positive one, is when, for example, I talk with you. I've been talking a lot with people from Spain, Victoria, Nuria, Javi, and so on. I think you've seen some of the videos, Angelito. I have them. I feel that. Jesse, who I recently talked to, the little Chanel gossip and radical kitty, I feel that harmony. I feel that joy. I mean, I can talk with you, and I mean it. I could talk for 10 hours. Why? Because instead of getting tired, I get energized. I don't know if people understand what I'm trying to say, that you do something and it energizes you. Or you're with someone and you actually leave feeling stronger than when you arrived, right? And the opposite is also true. But I feel like the opposite can be worked on. I noticed this in the morning when I was at the bank. In the end, I can do something. I don't have to do this paperwork. Yeah, I could come back another day, but there's no point anymore. I've already invested time here, and I feel like that's kind of how life is. I've also told you about my city, Monterrey, because of its size, because of the things that happen here. I'm not saying that people are negative, but there is a very strong energy here, very strong in the sense that a lot of things are happening. And you've been here, right? So you kind of understand me. I think it's the size. It's like Mexico City for sure. I haven't been there in many years, but I'm sure I'll feel it. So for example, I feel more comfortable in small cities, in little towns. Recently, I was invited to a country house, or let's call it a ranch. For those who might not understand, I mean, outside the city, about 100 kilometers from here, there were deer, just to give you an idea, there were birds. I immediately felt the change in energy, so much so that I jokingly told my husband I would move here, I would move to live here. So these are situations, and somehow, well, it's a bit related to the fact that we're already here. I can't complain. I can't say I'm a victim. Instead, we have to work through all these kinds of situations. And I really think it's truly up to each of us personally to deeply decide whether or not we want something to significantly affect us or not.
And you know what? The great challenge for human beings, I'll use that word, the great challenge is that, right? To sustain it. When you feel good, to sustain it. Because, well, you go somewhere and you meditate or you do, I don't know, whatever it is, and you come out feeling great. And then a little while later, something unexpected happens, I don't know, and boom, everything you did in that little while, an hour, maybe a day, whatever it was, just by someone saying something to you, or when you get home at night, everything changes. It's about sustaining it. I think it's not so much about raising that up, but about sustaining it, sustaining who you are. Trust in yourself, in the fact that nothing can throw you off balance, right? And speaking of death, that really caught my attention, what you said, because yes, for people, it's like they hear the word death and that's it. Yeah.
Anyway.
The psyche, right away, when they hear cancer or things like that, immediately it's like, oh, no, no, no. Death, I think, Alex, I've been analyzing that. Is it really a fear of dying? I mean, well, it's a fear of the unknown, right? Of what is unknown. And I also think that this is part of being human, that you really have to prepare for that, not for other things, but to see what happens. I want to know what's up beyond, right? How is my life going? I don't know. I think that sometimes for humans, it's not so much the fear of death, but rather, let's see, because we know that when you die, you see everything, well, you do. Your sweet soul goes, but you're also going to see everything. See what you said, what you didn't say, what you did, what you didn't do, what you could have. In fact, XYY. I think that's one of the first traps, right? That there are those beings, because they do exist, who manipulate you, right? And it's like you said, once you are truly aware, no one will ever be able to manipulate you, and your ultimate decision will be to either return to a more favorable timeline or perhaps go back to exactly where you originally came from, or even to simply be that essential spark, right? That will be your decision. But if not, you'll be faced with, oh man, what if I had done this? What if I had said that? What if I hadn't left them? What if I hadn't? I think that the soul that doesn't know itself is the one that can be a bit more, let's say those beings can trap it, catch it, however you want to call it, right? The soul that doesn't know itself. The soul, because we know that the soul, well, it likes the oh, poor thing. Oh, yes, wait. I mean, the soul likes to wander around aimlessly, right? And human beings don't work with the spirit. I mean, it's the spirit that needs to be worked on. The soul is there, yes. But the soul has already been corrupted, and it has corrupted ions, right? To encounter your spirit, to feel that wonderful essence, that divine spark that, as you mentioned, is uncreated and exists. Why? Because you are a fractal of the great creative consciousness, as I call it. And I don't call it God or anything like that, because it's an energy. We don't know if it's male or female. A wonderful, beautiful energy. So for me, it's a great creative consciousness that, well, said, look, here you go. Let's see what you do with all this stuff on your shoulders, right? And I think that sometimes fear is just that, Alex, the fear of dying, that so-called word death, right? having reflected on what I should have done. And since they're not prepared, most people don't prepare themselves. Only once have I seen, Alex, and I want to mention it here, only once have I seen the passing of a person who truly said, I'm done, just let me go, that's it. Well, the lady was already quite elderly and all, but what I'm truly getting at is that when I saw her, she had a wonderfully peaceful, a truly tranquil smile. I mean, I genuinely thought to myself, wow, this remarkable lady really knew precisely how to go, how to depart from this life. Why? Because when you go and kiss the person there, usually their face is contorted. And she's truly the very first one I have ever seen whose beautiful face was like finally just perfectly like that. I said, wow. And you know what? She was quite a person, a real lady. I met her when she was already old. That was just who she was. She spoke however she wanted, said whatever she wanted. Like, oh no, I don't want that. Why would I want it? I mean, that was her. I learned from that when I saw her there in the coffin. I said, wow. No, I mean, it's truly the very first time I've ever seen someone with such a wonderfully peaceful and serene expression on their face. And she didn't really know much about these things. She simply was who she wanted to be. If she tripped someone up and walked away, well, she did it. You know what I mean? She did what she wanted, lived the life she wanted to live. And she left this world at peace. You know what I mean? I said, I don't really like going to funerals or any of those things, not even wakes. But I said, well, I'll go to this one. No, and I think that's something all of us humans need to reflect on. I mean, humanity, and I include myself, we really need to go deeper into what it means to be human, to be human. We are beings and we come here to be human. So I think that's what the lady did. I mean, I said, yes, well, she had a religion, she had a belief, she was very Catholic, but that didn't stop her from lending a hand to someone, you know what I mean? And she left so peacefully, I mean, with such a calm expression, like, I mean, she's the first person I've ever seen leave like that, calm, almost with a smile. I mean, with such peace, you could see it in her body. And what's more, I saw her breathing and I said, no, she's still breathing. I don't know if it made me feel like, wait, no, calm down. The lady isn't here anymore. But I think it was something. She still had that energy there, you know? Even though it had been a day, well, about 12 hours since she had passed, her expression, I mean, that really left a strong impression on me. It made me want to reflect deeply. So I thought, okay, people aren't afraid of death. I mean, they're afraid of the word, but I think the real fear is facing up to it there. To what they did, what they didn't do, what they could have said, what they didn't ask for, that kind of thing. If you really think about it deeply, I think that's what it is, right? And even more so because people say, oh, hell and all that, you know. But it's more about that, isn't it? Really seeing yourself for what you are, what you did and what you didn't do. So the lady left so happy and confident. I mean, her expression was one of peace. Oh, just like that? I said, wow. I said, look, human beings, a human being, you are a being who comes from being human. And it's not that you have to learn. Just live the experience that comes your way. Because if that's what you are, vibration, sound, magnetism, wave, you are spirit, soul. I mean, you have that kind of power, right? That all those currents might leave. And maybe they're afraid of being alone because their circle is so contaminated that they get used to it. There are people who get used to it, Alex, and I think you'll agree with me here, who already live like that. That's just how they live. With depression, and they think they're fine, they laugh, and there are others who don't even laugh, but there's something there, they're depressed, and that's how they live. And you can ask them, how are you? Fine. No, super good, and they can laugh, yes, but there's something there. It's when they leave, because it's also true. I experienced it with my dad. I experienced it with my grandfather, with my great-grandfather. I saw it. Well, my dad too, they would see their life before passing away. They would see it as if they were right there. And I would sometimes see their faces like, oh no, I thought, what's going on, right? I think we really need to dig deeper into all of this to figure out what's going on with us as human beings. We are beings and we come here to be human, don't you think?
Yes, I'm going to ask you, if you can give me a second, I'm going to turn on the light because I've run out of light. Natural ones.
1 second. What do you all think, guys and girls who are watching us? I'd like you to comment, to leave your thoughts, because this is kind of beyond just things, right? That we really need to delve deeply into what we truly call death, or us as living and profoundly vibrational beings. Beings, the very word spirituality, spirit itself. It's certainly not about saying, oh, I just saw a ghostly, mischievous spirit lurking here. No. Spirit is something incredibly powerful, isn't it? So there's a significant amount of distortion. Don't you genuinely think so, Alex?
Yes, look, the topic of death is very important. You said something, this lady, I never had the pleasure of meeting her, not at all. But from what you've told me, this lady knew how to die. Yes. And I don't know if she prepared herself, if it was conscious or unconscious or intuitive or however it was, but the lady knew how to do it. I have said, you have to prepare yourself for death. And it's not about constantly thinking about death, but rather about simply being aware of what that step is and about living life, living each day, each minute, each second, being present in the moment. If you're at work, enjoy it. If you're at school, enjoy it. If you're on vacation, enjoy it. I'm talking with you, enjoy it. So I feel that when you're in the moment and not, because that's the impression I get from this lady, that she just did things and didn't overthink them too much. It wasn't so much about thinking of the past or the future, but rather today is today, and I'm going to do this very well. And that's when I say, if you don't like your job, then look for another one. But maybe they'll pay me less. And maybe you'll be happier, maybe you'll be more at peace, maybe you won't be so anxious. And so, or you're with a partner and things aren't working out, but sometimes the ego, the mind tells us, yes, keep going. No, change. It's you. You're the one making mistakes. The other person is perfect, but you're the one who has to change, right? Many times that's how it is in relationships. You change, you improve, I'm just fine, but that's not right, is it? When something is like that, something isn't working. So I feel that with the topic of death, it's about preparation. But I do think one thing, and that's something I can't deny, Maria. I do think that even this lady, even if she seems very calm, the egoic identity really does die at that moment, because you don't take your ego with you. You don't take your ego with you when you die. This experience, Alex, I wasn't Alex in a past life, nor will I be Alex in the next one.
Yes.
Right? Yes, Alex, right now. I might have the same name, but what I mean is the experience, you know? You all know me, I'm different than I was different. And the ego knows that, right? That voice in our head. And so it does everything it can, because what it wants is just one more beat of your heart. It wants to live one more second because it knows it's the end, right? So that's the part that makes it really hard. This lady, yes, it's great if she left with a smile, and I don't doubt it. It's very difficult for that very reason, because then it's going to step in and say, no. It's going to grab you. Don't go, because for me, it's the end. For you, I don't know. You as a spirit, you're going to go on. But for me, this experience is over. The show is over, as we say here in Mexico. And that's when it gets a little difficult. But I feel that if we prepare ourselves and if we have peace of mind, not a leap of faith, not about believing, not about them believing in you or in me or in a book or in a religion, but that they look within for the certainty that being gives, the certainty that intuition gives. And that's why I say, if you're ready, because it's very important to be ready, discover your past lives so you can see that you've been much more. You're going to discover some things that I assure you might not like very much, but that's okay. It's part of it. We've been everything and we've done everything. Nothing surprises or impresses me anymore because we've done it all. So that's also where judgment falls away. Good, bad. Well, if you knew your whole story, as Christ said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone, I think he was referring to all our lives. No one is going to come and tell me a story I haven't already been given, because up to now, I haven't met a single perfect person. I do feel that death, Maria, is extremely important. The preparation, the peace, and losing the fear of it. Is my ego going to be afraid? Yes. Will my body, my mind be afraid when my heart starts to stop beating? Yes. But I do feel that spiritually you can prepare yourself. And you can have an experience similar to this lady's of crossing over with total peace. And I feel that puts you in such a favorable position that whatever you decide there, if you decide to return to earth, it will be on your own terms. Not on the terms of judgment, as you say, not on the terms of the movie they show you where they say, look, here you made a mistake, here you made a mistake, here you went back, look what you did to this person, look what you did to that one, you have to go back and fix it. No, because then you're already conditioned, you're already bound by contracts, you're already a bit tied to conditions, to attachments, to alliances. Return on your own terms, completely free and without commitments. And that's possibly what this lady did, or maybe she went to another system, which is actually my current expressed will. I mean, in my next transition, I will leave this system with no account left open. It's possible that I might come back. Maybe I'll fall into the trap again. Maybe I'll decide in the moment to return, or maybe some information will come up that I don't know about right now, which forces or pushes me to come back. But honestly, I'm happy with my participation, and I'd like to leave this system and return to others. Or even, why not discover a new one and go to a new place? But all of that is part of this preparation. It's part of understanding that death is not the end. Death, in essence, as we know it, doesn't exist. It's simply that we leave the human experience behind. The human experience ends, and then we return to being a divine spark. And I ask, who can stop you, impose on you, or limit you as a divine spark? As a human, yes, it's the physical body. That's why this reality is physical. I can't just go and travel the universe. I can't. Physically, it's not possible, not even with a spaceship. But as a divine spark, yes, I can. That's why I tell you, these species that have transcended and chosen to live, that have reached a vibrational level where they live purely as a divine spark, they no longer need spaceships. Or maybe now it's starting to make sense what I was referring to. They no longer need spaceships. Not anymore. Now they just come and go and so on. And for that reason, in those densities, they say, I see you here, but I don't come down here.
Yes, that's true. Alex, you said a word, well, two that really caught my attention and that are also very powerful. One is being in the here and now. You said here in the moment, or that we have to be. And that's true. I think most people are always in the past or the future and outside, apart from it. Regardless of whether these beings exist, yes, but we have to be in the here and now with ourselves. And the other thing that caught my attention was leap of faith. What does that mean to you, Alex? Because, well, that particular phrase, leap of faith, truly comes from a specific movement or a doctrine or something that genuinely claims it. So what exactly does leap of faith mean to you personally?
It's putting my belief in something external. It's a leap. So it's like God is like this, but it's not inside me. It's you telling me and I'm choosing to believe it. That's a leap of faith. So for me,
to believe something, not in yourself.
Yes, no, that's positive. If you believe in yourself and want to call that a leap of faith, for me, look, a guest once told me he had a near-death experience and you have no idea how much it resonated with me. And I like to explain it that way. I took it from him, but it was something that was already inside me. He says, it's not that I believe in God. I know the creator. Exactly. It's not a belief. I don't choose to believe. I tell people that I feel within me that I am totally 1,000,000% sure that the creator is a being, that his love is unconditional, infinite, and without judgment. But it's not a leap of faith. It's not that a church told me or I went somewhere And a priest explained it to me. No, it's something inside me. For me, a leap of faith is, I feel that's where the fear of death can come from, which is, well, yes, I did spend years going to church, but at the moment of death, I have all the doubts in the world because it was a leap of faith. Do you believe? You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe because everything is inside us.
Yes, absolutely.
And a leap of faith towards something external is simply saying, well, I attach myself to this idea, which, by the way, typically leaps of faith are shared ideas in the sense of a religion, which is, well, there's a club, right? And there are millions of us, so we must know something, right? Of course, it's like it gets validated a little, right? I assure you that if there were a religion with only 20 people, very few would join that religion. But if there's a religion with 2 billion, like Christianity or Islam, and Islam has more than Christianity and Catholicism, 2 billion Islam, well, I'll join that. 2 billion, it's very hard for them to be wrong. We have that idea. Honestly, I would encourage you to believe in yourselves.
I said it's a magic word for me. A very, very magical word, which I think is the most magical thing a human being can have. I said it's to feel. To feel, right? Someone once told me here in the comments that people post on the page, I don't even know what to believe anymore. I said, it's not about believing, it's about feeling. I think that's the magic we have. I mean, feeling empowers us, right? But sometimes it takes a long time, or rather we doubt that feeling a lot. I don't know if you've ever listened to yourself or if it's happened to you before, when you might have said or heard, wow, I knew it, I felt it, but no, I decided to go this way or do this instead. And I said, well, your feeling is magical, isn't it? That's the divine spark that's there, uncreated, telling you, and you didn't listen, you paid more attention over here, right? It's about feeling, it's about feeling. That word you just said is magic. I always say that magic is feeling. A good observer starts to feel, not to learn, but to feel. The good observer, right? Why? Because there's also magic out here. Even if they call it whatever they want, the ETA plan, the ETI plan, or call it the matrix, I don't know. It's also about feeling. When you start to feel, you perceive everything from that perception, right? It's not that you believe it. Like you said, I don't believe it. I felt it. Because believing is something else. Believing is up here. Perfect.
Yes, and believing, well, like you said, and many times, look, our mind is constantly trying to justify, it's trying to give us reasons, like, why do you feel that? It's crazy, it doesn't make sense, but I'm going to tell you that it does, right? Look at how it is. So it's not that we don't hear it, it's just that this is like those kids who are, those children who are on the street with, look, they're juggling 4 or 5 balls in the air and asking you for money at the same time, and they're pulling it off, right? It's a bit of a game of constantly, in this case with the mind, not minimizing it, but definitely not letting it dictate to you. In other words, as you said, let your heart be the rudder of your ship. Because the mind is going to be what we already know, right? A, you have to make money, you have to take care of yourself so that your health is the best it can be. In the end, I've talked to older people, Maria, people in their 70s, 80s who say, I didn't even understand my life. I just spent my whole life working, and then I just wanted to stop working, to retire. And then I retired, and I was bored. I even wanted to go back to work. And many, well, to look for work, because there is no definition, because they are not exactly living in the moment, and it is not criticism of them, but it is understood, because that is how the majority are. That's how most people are. In the end, what was it about? To make money, etc. And then, as they say, no one takes the money. That is outside that. It is not even that. And when you make so much money, then it becomes a problem. The issue of inheritance, siblings fight over it. Was that a positive thing? Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have anything and live in hardship either. No. That's why I tell you it's like that. It's like being up in the air with 5 pilots and asking at the same time, right? So, and you're really trying to juggle, aren't you, at this very moment? Honestly, I'll tell you, it's not that I'm disappointed with this reality. It's just that, for one, I've been here a long time. I mean, just like you and many of those listening to us, I've been here a long time. And the conclusion I've come to is, well, yes, I want to experience again, even though I know I've already experienced it, another situation. There are people who say that we're kind of in being cared for in a higher reality. And here it's simply like an experience, like a projection. So you're not really going through darkness. It's like a movie. It's like an actor in a film. It's not you. I mean, your name is something else. The actor is the actor. When the movie ends, the actor ends. Yes, in a way, right? But, well, I don't want to be an actor anymore, at least not in this movie.
So, yes. And you know what? There's something super interesting about that, because there are a lot of people who have heard this thing you're saying. I said it myself at some point. Yes, I did say it at some point. But later when I understood, first I understood it, then I put it into action and truly grasped it. I said there are some cool things because I started to observe myself. And really, I mean, what you're telling me about working your whole life, about the person you mentioned, working all their life and now, well, that's it. And it's true, that's how it is for most human beings. Look, from the time we're little, it's school, control. And
then in that particular moment,
work, we finish school. And then you work, you keep going, you keep at it. And it's always like a competition to have more and to be afraid, like, no, I need to. Because if I don't, I'll end up with nothing to eat. Yes, this planet is like that. But precisely, if you don't trust yourself in that magnetic energy you have, your vibe, your frequency, whatever you want to call it, then you're just going to do that. The same old story. I used to observe that and think, well, how, I mean, you just come here for that and then you leave. You have a family, kids, and then you die. And that was it. I think the great creative consciousness didn't make us for that. Even if there are controllers out there, I mean, if we know how to reach our inner self, that eternity that we are, because we are that eternity, if we know how to reach that, then the controller, as they call it, or whatever you want to call it, just goes away, right? Or they just ignore you because you already figured out how to reach that. So your life wasn't that emptiness of saying, I think that this lady I told you about, who also passed away, left this world in a really good way. She didn't just have an emptiness. I mean, she had her family, her children, and all of that. And she said, well, I already gave my children everything I could. If I tripped someone up and they fell, well, that's just how it is. You know what I mean? I mean, it was that learning to be human, even though she didn't know she was doing it, you know? That's how I felt when I saw her there, and I thought, no, this is incredible. So it's not like you're supposed to go around doing bad things to everyone, right?
No, but if I may just say something, and Maria, look, I don't see it that way. When you say it, I feel like maybe what she meant was, well, we make mistakes.
Yes.
We make mistakes, but I'm not going to torture myself over it.
I'm not going to
torture myself, nor does that make me, because that's the guilt I might feel. You made mistakes. You have to go back and make amends. And typically that, going back to make amends, means now you have to suffer what you made others go through.
And that's a problem.
I'm not saying that we can behave however we want or that it's okay to be horrible to others. No, but we do make mistakes. And for me, the key is realizing that we can transcend them, that we can come back, that our actions don't judge us, don't determine us, don't define us, not in the way people want to make it seem. Because if you look at religions, that's how they operate. If you behave badly, you go to hell. If you behave well, you go to hell.
Yes. That's why I was saying it. Not that she didn't care, but that, yes, no, it's not that.
We make mistakes. I made mistakes.
And the word mistakes, the psyche says, oh, those are mistakes. That's just an experience you had, right? You lived it. Yes, you went through it. For example, that's why, I mean, words really do matter, right? Because there's a control, a system control that gives you certain words so that your psyche holds back, you know? And it gives you a bit of fear. When you transcend all that and say, oh, wow, right? I simply experienced it, I went through it, and I didn't like it. Or maybe I did like it, or I just won't do it again. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just like you said. The lady just said, well, go ahead. I'm not going to get hung up on that.
Exactly. I'm not going to get stuck on it. I mean, no, it's not going to define me. No, I'm not condemned. No, nothing like that. I'm leaving now.
She wasn't afraid that, oh, they're going to crucify you. I mean, I think she found that sense of liberation. And we can find that liberation too by really delving into the fact that we are that eternity itself. And that we come here to be human because we are beings. But we come to be human, maybe not to learn, or I don't know, I can't really say like, oh, I came here to learn, but rather, well, simply to experience it, like you said. I like what you're telling me. Yes, so that it doesn't affect us in our day-to-day lives, right? Whether you did something or didn't. If you are a being and you know perfectly well that you have that beautiful magnetic resonance, well, you'll say, if I can apologize to the person, I'll do it. If not, then I'll know what to do. Right? And you must keep moving forward, never allowing it to frustrate you or hold you back because, for example, when we consider families, you know that the family unit is often the biggest, well, let's say, source of control and influence over a human being's life. Isn't that right? It's a topic, wow. I mean, for someone who's a mom or you who are a dad or us with our parents, everyone is always worried, thinking nothing will happen and so on. It's such a deeply ingrained program. So deeply ingrained that I want to emphasize the person I mentioned who just passed away, who once said, I've already given them everything I could. In my own way, I taught them, I raised them. That's it.
But it's very important. You're at peace. But I would even expand on that, Maria, and say that we need to be at peace every day of our lives. I know it's not easy when you're young, but if you already have a certain age, a certain maturity, you can be at peace, and this might sound a bit harsh, but be prepared for this to be the last day of your life.
And just like that,
lady, if it comes to me suddenly, I simply smile and say, I'm leaving in peace. I'm leaving with no debts. I mean, no debts, not financial debts, but no debts at all.
You and I understand it. But how? I mean, what do I advise? Or maybe not advise because, well, I don't really give advice, but what would you really do? Or what did you do to be at peace, to understand what you're sharing with me right now? We know it, but I'd like you to expand on it more because people are going to say, oh, sure, but what do you mean by being at peace? Calm down. So, like, what do you mean? I'd like you to elaborate on that more so that...
One thing is, I mean, yes, I am prepared to die, and I mean that seriously. But how do you
do it?
But, well, the first thing I wanted to say is that what I can tell you is that if it happened in the next 5 minutes, I would be scared because I insist it's the ego. We're separating from it. The human body, the human experience is separating from the divine spark. The divine spark is calm. It's completely at peace, but for the human body, it's the end. It's like two companions. One has reached their limit and the other is going to continue on. So the one who continues, well, off you go and good luck. And the other one, well, for me, it's no. And so it does everything physically, and much of it is because of fear, because adrenaline increases, heart rate and everything. Because in the end, it wants your heart to beat one more time. 10 more seconds at the end. Let's live 5 more minutes, come on. And that's why you go through everything and people panic when they're dying, things like that. I feel cold, etc. So I want to clarify that because I can't tell you that I would die in total peace because I feel like that's just not realistic to me. But you have to be prepared first to not hold any grudges or any kind of anger or any unresolved issues with anyone. Make the effort to say, well, I have a problem with someone. Hey, look, here's my part. And the other person has to be prepared as well. You have every right to say, thank you, but I'm not interested. And they don't owe you any kind of apology like the one you're giving. It's happened to me. And you have to have the peace of mind to say, fine, I did my part. I said what I needed to say. You go your way, I go mine. But now there's no debt there. Now there's harmony. There's no more chaos. There's nothing left. You've freed yourself. And I encourage you to do the same with your family. I've heard people say that you're a terrible parent. Very well, bring harmony to that situation. And if they've already passed away, you can still bring harmony. Don't hold a grudge against them. Don't hold a grudge against them. Simply put, okay, you had really bad luck, parents like that. Fine, you go your way, stay at peace. And so if you let go of those attachments, those connections, it makes death much more accessible in the sense that you leave and you leave better prepared. Because you and I move, Maria. We have talked to each other. You are very attached to this reality. Very attached and have a great fear of dying.
No.
It's possible that you get stuck there, like halfway. And that's what is known as a disembodied being, in the sense that you'll be appearing, turning on lights, doing things like that, etc. Yes, bothering enemies and so on. Why did you stay? I mean, you want to go back to your life that no longer exists, to your experience that no longer exists. No one has known until now. I know there are zombie movies and all that, but no one has actually come back to their body and had it get up and go on again. No. Once that's over, it's over. You can stay attached to the experience. You can stay attached to a person, to a group of people, to your wife, to your parents, to your children, or the other way around, a child and so on, an experience, you can stay. But if you leave this reality saying, I am at peace with everyone, I am in harmony with everyone, I insist, that doesn't mean being friends with everyone. It doesn't mean being the clown at the party and laughing all the time. It simply means not having any issues. Genuinely, if you had a problem with someone, you make the effort, approach them and say, what I did was wrong. I spoke to you that way, and that's it. And I insist, you have to be prepared for the other person to say, I don't care, I hate you, and I never want to see you again. Very well, I wish you all the best. I'll go my way, you go yours. That's harmony. It's not that we have to be friends again or a couple or anything like that. Hey, maybe a partner mistreated you, treated you very badly, even hit you. Find within yourself the way to harmonize it and express it. It's no longer affecting me. I'm not there anymore. Now it's time to let it go, right? I'm not saying you should stay. That's why I say if they're treating you like that, if you're in a job that's hurting you, if you have a boss who treats you badly, change jobs, harmonize it, do what works for you. And so I feel that when death comes, well, this lady is a living example of what we're talking about. I practically feel like I know her, Maria. She was at peace. She did what she wanted. And it's not that she treated people badly. It's just that if she liked something, she did it. And if she didn't do it.
Yeah, I said, wow. And her daughter would say to me, no, look at how she is. Well, she would say to me, look. And I was like, well, I mean, she was surprised. And she felt good. Her daughter felt good because she told me, look, I feel good because I know my mom is doing well. She left very peacefully. And I was the hysterical one who wanted. And I said, wow, I mean, that gave me, how can I put it? Like a taste in my mouth for me to learn something more before I also leave this world. Yeah, I mean, I say, wow, like really, no. Yeah, I mean, there's more. It's not just one. That's why there are words. So you say to yourself, wow. And yes, this beautiful thing you're giving us, Alex, about really being able to talk. I've also said it many times. Talk. It's not about fighting. Talk. Say what you need to say. And if the other person says yes, if the other person is open, or if it's also your turn to ask for forgiveness, right?
Yes, don't pretend that you show up and say, I did everything right. No, you have to come with the
truth. I
acted badly, I yelled at you, I offended you, but I'm calm now. Do you want to keep going? Do you want to continue? No. Don't get angry. No, just let the test go. No. Wish them well. You know, I had a guest, Javi from Spain. It's an extreme case, Maria. That case is really intense. But he was talking about a priest who, if I understood the story correctly, someone killed his son, and then the priest not only forgave him, but they went on to travel the world together, giving testimony. So, well, no, those facts are really intense, but I do think that someone who has hurt you can genuinely say what is known as gratitude, which is simply having the best intentions for everyone and everything. Because in the end, we are like a light. So what could be better than keeping it lit? Why do you turn it off and on depending on whether the person is worth it or not? You should wish well for everyone, and it won't come back to you because the universe doesn't work with rewards and punishments. No, it's simply, the
universe has nothing to do with it. It's the human being who has to do with that, right?
Yes. But that's kind of what is sometimes understood. But why would I do that?
Yes, well, why not? Unintentionally. I don't know if you remember this with me. When someone told me, no, it's just that so-and-so. I said, well, sometimes people speak or act without awareness. And you don't know what's going to happen because that has, if we are a wave, a magnetic, a blue, etc., well, that has what we're doing here, this conversation, has a positive impact for many people and a negative one for others. Do you get what I mean? All of that is, that's why, yes. I really agree with what you say, that you have to talk about it to feel okay yourself. Because your magnetic field, that's going to expire, it's going to expand. that well-being, and someone else is going to feel it. You know what I mean? And yes, it's a lot of work for a human being because the ego comes out there. The ego shows up like, oh, you hurt me, but not because of what you did.
The programming of justice is like, it's not fair. Why do I have to be the one to reach out? Why don't they come to me? Well, then don't reach out, but you won't bring harmony to the situation. So yes, in a way, as they say, you swallow your pride a little. You don't pay attention to your pride. You say, I'll be the one to reach out. But I insist, do it with the peace of mind that if the reception is poor or non-existent, that's fine. You've already done your part. And for me, several people have told me, Maria, that because of the ideas I have, etc., that eventually I'm going to end up alone because no one will understand me. They'll treat me like I'm crazy. And that's where I say, for me, the way I bring harmony to it is that I know who I can talk to about these things, like with you, and I know who I shouldn't talk to. So for example, when someone wants to ask my opinion about politics or religion or whatever, I don't give any opinion. Let's talk about soccer, about unbelievable things, really things that don't matter. The most important of the least important things. Because the reality is that in arguments and in wanting to be right, especially if you get caught up in that, which I did a lot. I'm not saying I'm perfect now, but at the time it was like, no, this is this and that is that. And now it's like, what do you gain? What do you gain? I'd rather be at peace with you. Keep your opinion. Hold on to the idea that you're right. Honestly, it doesn't worry me in the slightest, and I'm happy. So the way that's worked for me with family and friends is when it comes to controversial topics I know will be polarizing. I don't have an opinion. What do you think?
And
I let you talk and I let you keep the idea that it's a lecture.
also because, well, like they say here in Mexico, right? People get really hung up on things. They make a big deal out of it. And then it turns into a whole mess. And you're just like...
Totally. It's crazy. And it's incredible. And then, especially maybe at family gatherings, and then there's a little bit of alcohol involved, which kind of sometimes heightens the emotions, right? Yeah. It gets amplified. And that's when, my wife used to get scared when, like I told you, I'm from Italy. We've been there several times. And over there, that's just how arguments are. But nobody actually gets mad. It's incredible. They talk about politics, but it looks like they're going at each other full force. Especially if you don't understand them, but they're not actually mad. And in 5 minutes, they're cracking up, hugging each other and singing. It was really great, but I saw it differently. It was like, there was so much emotion, so much like, did you see this new guy who joined? No, this party is the best, especially over there in Italy, where politics is really interesting. It doesn't matter. They have parties of every kind, right, center, left, center, right. They even have a party called Thank You, Christian Democracy. So the two ideas clash. And it's incredible how one and then someone from here defends the other. And in the end, once when I was 16 or 18 years old, without knowing much about the subject, I had an intuition to say to them, hey man, I've heard you for many years saying that politics doesn't work in any party. Maybe that's just history. And that's something that now I think is perfect. And at that point, I considered myself apolitical. I just say, thank you. To those who are in power now, those who are in Mexico right now, those from before, and those who will come in the future. Man, because in the end, politics is just politics. It's a system of control, and it's never going to work. It's never going to work.
Well, for their own interests, it does.
No, yes, of course. You know what I mean? Like some people are going to be happy, those who benefit from it, others won't, and that's always how it's going to be.
It's incredible that people...
years. And there isn't a single political definition or movement that has been proven to work. Some people say it's the right because it gives opportunities because of the free market. Some say it's the left because it's progressive and more like a caretaker, like a government that acts like a parent looking out for you when you're out on the street. There isn't a definition. There just isn't a definition. And so I remember that came to mind because I've been hearing it for years, that it's this thing that keeps coming up. Could it be that none of them actually work?
You're right. None of them work. But unfortunately, I feel like human beings aren't really prepared to have a good life because it's a mess. We haven't prepared ourselves for so many things. So can you imagine if you just let anyone be, just to use the phrase, no,
that's clear to me. In fact, they show us the Mad Max movies. Exactly. I feel like it's a kind of programming like you don't want politicians, you don't want government. Look at what will happen. Maybe I'm too optimistic, Maria. I do think that someday humanity will be like if you, Angelito, me, and other people threw a party. We won't need police. We won't need a leader. Everything will work out. Everyone will do their part. We'll all get along. We'll all be harmonious. Well, I feel that with the human's level of evolution, discovering their divine spark, it will reach the point where, yes, as incredible as it may seem, that's going to happen. And so maybe there will be leaders and such, but not like now, right? Which basically, I mean, I understand people who leave and go to a cabin and all that because essentially they're not being controlled by anything except nature. Something like that, kind of like at a family party, a party with friends. You don't need, oh no, you came, you did this. Hey, who? No, you don't need that. I mean, there are ways to be harmonious, and well, we're also going to have to let go of that to understand that we're all equal in the sense that we're all equally important, to understand that we're brothers and sisters. I mean, I don't understand why people say, oh, this person is from another country. And
That's happened too, hasn't it? The divisions and also our dialect. He has also told you, oh, you are going to speak this, you this, then. Well, can you imagine? I mean, thank you. And yes, you are quite right in what you say, Alex. Alex, we've been going for almost an hour and a half. Yes, many.
Thank you, Maria. I don't know if you want to play anything else.
I'm to turn on
the air conditioner because I turned it off. It already happened to me. Like hasn't it happened to you that it rains and it gets muggy? Here too, it already stopped.
Raining so much. You can still hear it a little, but it's not pouring anymore and everything gets muggy. Alex, to wrap up the program, what can you leave us with? Something that leaves us with that nice feeling? Because what you're saying leaves a very positive impression. What else can you share with us? Something beautiful about what we can really do as human beings? I'll go over this again so it's clear. To be better, precisely to be human.
Change ourselves and truly be at peace. Let go of control and think that we've kind of absorbed the pervasive idea that we actually control much more than we genuinely do. Live life just like that lady is a great example. The lady, live life, I don't mean treat people badly, as I said, but just live your life, make your own decisions, take what serves you and leave what doesn't. Why would you hurt yourself for no reason? Sometimes a lot of our pain is self-inflicted, but I feel that change. And understanding that we can only change ourselves, but that by changing ourselves, we can help change the world, will lead to a different kind of human being. It's nothing against the humans we are now. It's just that, yes, this planet needs it already. It's something that's urgent right now. And I feel that nature is the model. I mean, the harmony I see in rivers, in waterfalls, in forests, in the sea, this thing we've talked about before, the sea, the waves, how harmonious they are. All of that makes me feel that when humans take in what resonates, what is natural, not artificial, because sometimes what's artificial is just what's convenient for us, like food and so on, things like that. But if we can shift a little toward what is natural, toward what is harmonious, toward the music that exists within us, then the world will change. For me, that's the ascension that has been talked about so much. That's the ascension, the ascension. Humanity is simply going to ascend to the level of nature. Maybe we need to let go a little of the idea that we're going to grow wings and so on. No, we're going to reach the level of nature mainly for the benefit of nature itself. And human beings will learn to be harmonious with this planet, this beautiful planet, this paradise planet that has been given to us, which has put up with everything from us. The beautiful Mother Earth, Gaia, we are going to harmonize with her. You just mentioned resonance. Honestly, I have two ideas about that. I don't know if it's the Earth responding to us or the Earth harmonizing itself. And someone once said it's a bit like the Earth is having tachycardia. Or if the Earth were responding, sending us a message like, look, I see you. I'm sorry, my energy is here too. So I really do feel it's something very, very important. And someone asked me recently on a show why I was optimistic. And I said, is optimism about talking to people? It's seeing that people are starting to take on the things that serve them and starting to let go of the things that don't. It's their harmony. They start to understand their role. They start to realize that their part is about changing themselves. In other words, it's not about, I'm the savior of the world. I'm going to change the world. I'm going to save the world. No, I'm going to change myself. And that will be my great contribution to the planet's ascension.
How beautiful, Alex. How beautiful. Thank you so much. And yes, you're right. Nature will always be that way and will be the channel, I believe, for us as well to achieve ascension. Let's use that word, right? Or to raise our state of vibration of consciousness or simply maintain it. When we go out into the natural world, we learn so very much from it. We truly do. So thank you so much, Alex. Where exactly can people find you on your amazing YouTube channel? There it is.
The Alex Show, if you type it into your web browser, you'll see the YouTube icon there and it will take you straight to the YouTube channel. That's the easiest way because for some reason, if you search for it directly on YouTube, it doesn't show up for us. Thank you. No.
No. Well, it took me a while to find it too. And other people who have tried to connect there tell me like, it doesn't show up for me. And I'm like, oh man.
You know, the good thing is that if they type it into their browser, it takes them straight to the channel really easily by clicking the YouTube icon. And I just made a blog. Actually, I just finished it because a blog is a different way to consume the content. Thank you. It's a blog that discusses the videos. You can watch the video and it gives you a good summary. I have to admit it's done with artificial intelligence, but in my opinion, it's very well made. For example, videos that you and I have shown, it talks about them there. So in about 5 or 7 minutes, it lets you consume an hour-long video. That's great. And now since we're so sensitive about time, because there have been people who tell me, I wanted to watch your video. I saw the first 20 minutes, but at work, I had to turn it off and I didn't get to finish it at home. I get it. I completely understand.
You have to be very careful with that too. It's also a kind of program that's being embedded in people to always be like this, like this, like this. Of course.
There's no time.
Yeah, no.
There's no time. I remember when I tell people, give yourself 5 minutes a day for yourselves. And there have been people who say, 5 minutes? No way. Can't it just be 1 or 30 seconds?
Yeah, you're right. And you've said, oh no. You're right. But they don't realize it. They don't realize that. And yes, you really have to be careful. You've touched on a topic. I'll invite you back later because you've brought up a really interesting point about how everyone wants to move so fast. Oh, wow. Yeah, you get it. Well,
quickly, let me tell you something I think about that, and it's related to the topic of gratitude, which is also a way for life to just fly by, and in the end, that's it. It's over and done. And there was no purpose, you didn't enjoy it, and you didn't prepare yourself for death. And you feel like something's missing, The saddest thing is to hear someone who's 80 years old say they still feel like something's missing. It's that I didn't achieve this, I didn't do that, I thought about doing this thing, but I didn't do it, I wanted to travel, but I never traveled. You could have though. That's why it's not such a bad thing, young people who are listening to us. You graduated from college, you want to travel the world, go for it, you can work, you can be waiters, and really will taking 6 months off to go away impact your career? I mean, yes, it's up to you, but the thing is there are so many things we want to do. I wanted to be a painter, I wanted to take painting classes, I wanted to take music lessons, I wanted to sing. These are things you can do.
Yes.
You can do them. And the 5-minute thing was about introspection. It was because they were going to start listening to themselves. When you pause for 5 minutes, your consciousness starts to say, oh, look, now you have 5 little minutes for me. And that's when that beautiful moment of self-discovery, of self-awareness begins. But there have been people who tell me, but it's just 5 minutes. There's a quick version, like a 30-second one, and I say, no, you're not getting it. I wish it were 15, 30, or even an hour. I mean, 5 is the minimum. So how long are you
going to take? And you say, what? No, really, be very careful with that, all of us, because honestly, we need to go deeper since unfortunately, that's the direction things are heading. Don't let yourself be carried away by that. Find yourself, harmonize, reflect, observe a lot so that you can feel. I'll say it again, a good observer starts to feel. In fact, I even think that, and forgive me for saying this, but as of today, it's not even necessary for you to sit down and meditate because really, like Alex says, I mean, how long is it going to last? And they're just there, like not even calming their mind. It's just about how long it's going to last. And they even set a timer for it. So that doesn't create the connection. Can you imagine? I mean, no. Alex, thank you so much for being here with us on the mission. It was a pleasure, a real treat. You know, I'm going to invite you again because time just flies by so quickly. Very pleasant conversations, which are the ones I like, and I think most people do too. And always, always, always remember to truly be yourselves, to fully reach your inherent divinity, that profound divinity, that absolute and ultimate origin of great and endless eternity. We are eternal. Eternal, remember this very important message well. Divinity, the vast internet, the ethereal ether, truly eternal. Yes, so really feel it deeply. Trust yourselves a whole lot and always stay connected. Commercials, everything in this world goes by so incredibly fast, so let's keep moving forward with purpose. Go directly to his amazing channel. This is the official Alex TV show. Please check it out. He actually has 2 fantastic channels, one in English and one in Spanish. And, well, Alex, thank you so very much for everything. A big hug all the way to Monterrey. Same to you.
Thank you very much.
Such a huge city. I love you all so much. I've spent several days over there with you. And, well, soon I'll be over there too, Alex. And as you know, we'll see each other very soon here on Mission with another guest from Spain named Ana Munoz. She talks a lot about those archontic systems, you know. Much respect to my beautiful Ana, whom I love. I care for her so much. And well, we'll be here soon with her as well and with other guests. Alex, a kiss from afar. Honora, same to you. A hug to everyone. And we'll be seeing each other. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for making it to this part of the video. This is my favorite part. This is where I suggest to you that you discover your true self. You are not what you have been groomed to believe. You are this incredible being without limits that has eternal life, amazing strength, infinite wisdom, and a big, beautiful heart. All your limits are always self-imposed. Your best version of this reality is inside you. Your only mission on this life is to become a beacon of love and to serve others. This version is ready to be discovered today. How do you discover your true self? The discovery process is a personal one. No one can do it for you. Dedicate 5 minutes a day to talk to the universe. Simply ask, who am I? Where do I come from? What is my purpose? You will start getting signs, breadcrumbs, and signals. You will notice how your notions about this reality start disappearing. No more hierarchies, no more competition, no more complaining, no more depending on others. Discovering your true self equals to real freedom. Your self-imposed limits will fall and you will be ready to understand this reality, but you must be patient to allow others to wake up at their time through their own free will. That will be really soon, you will see, and that will set up a new world. As you work towards your best version, you will notice how all emotions don't serve you anymore. Hate, fear, rage, pride, lust, envy, violence, justice, true violence, judgment of others, and other emotions will disappear from your mind and heart. You will understand those emotions serve only your egoic mind and are not you. Please try to be understanding of others that don't think or feel like you. Everyone has a process. No one is right or wrong. We are all just different. Don't be concerned about being right, ever. Don't allow pride preventing you from patching things up with family and friends. It is very important you enjoy this life with your loved ones. Put in the work to patch things up and leave it to others to decide. Thank you very much for watching. Please share, like, and subscribe. If you have any comments or suggestions, please use the comment section below. For private questions, conversations, and if you would like to appear on the show, please email me at hey@thealexshow.tv. Thank you again. Please don't forget to visit our website www.thealexshow.tv. By giving me your time, you honor me. Have a very, very, very nice day.